From a party invitation to a PTA flyer, even that graduation announcement, we often find ourselves dabbling in graphic design. Well, my next guest says you don't need to be a professional designer to get the polished professional look. A few simple principles will help you master your marketing materials. Designer Hayley Francis is here to give us 3 ideas for amping up our digital designs. Welcome back, Hayley. We love having you. This is so fun. I think a lot of us find ourselves maybe opening up that document, looking at a blank space and then saying, okay, what now? Mm-hmm. Do you find that a lot when people asking you? Where does that come into your play?
Yeah, I think when you're not a designer professionally, it can be really intimidating because the fact is design is all around us. And whether you're a mom or, you know, someone who needs to make a flyer for church or whatever, the fact is we all need to create designed things from time to time, but we don't always know how to do that. But there's a few really simple tricks and tips that you can use, anyone can use, to make your designs look just a little bit better and honestly to get people to actually look at them and actually read them.
Well, that's why we're grateful to know you, grateful to have you. You're gonna walk us through those today, but before we get into the actual principles, I'd love if you could talk us through some of the software options that maybe you recommend or love for more of the novice in us.
For sure. Well, I think the big go-to one that everyone will say is Canva.
Okay.
So for me as a professional, I use Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign, which are awesome, highly recommend. But if you're not willing to like pay for something and you just want something easy, Canva is probably for sure the best option. They've got things like templates that you can use, you can build stuff from scratch, but it's pretty user-friendly and there's free options on there that you can do. But even with using a template or something, there's little tricks to picking a well-designed template and a template that's maybe not so well-designed. And these principles that we talk about are gonna help with that.
And you've got 3 of those principles you want us to consider when we're doing that. First, I've never heard this term in design. I already told you this, but you want us to consider hierarchy in our layout. What does this even mean when it comes to design?
Absolutely. So the idea with hierarchy is that if everything is important, nothing is.
Okay.
And so a lot of times when people are designing something, they go one of 2 ways. First off, they either make everything really bold and everything really important. But if that's the fact, when someone looks at it, they're not going to get the main idea. The opposite side, like this example I've included here, is nothing is important. It's just listed off in a straight line in the bad example. So when you send out an invitation like that, people can't look at it and quickly get the main idea. So what you want to be considering when you're designing is saying, okay, if people can only get one thing out of this, what's the most important thing? So that might be the title of your event. The next most important thing is probably going to be like the date and time. So you can use things like scale or color to emphasize what the most important message is. But again, the thing that's important to remember is not everything can be the most important message. So if you're emphasizing, you know, the date and the location and the name of the event and the RSVP, then all of a sudden nothing's important.
Oh, Hayley, that's so smart. And of course, hierarchy, of course it matters. That makes so much sense. Next, you're saying font choice matters.
Yes.
Font choice. This especially, I feel like you tell us all the font things, Hayley.
Oh my gosh. Okay. More is not always better. I think a lot of times when people get into these things, they have this gut reaction where they just feel like they need to throw in all the typefaces. But let me tell you, like, constraint is key. So you can see in this bad example of this graduation card, there's like 6 different fonts on there. And it's chaotic and it's not cohesive. Where on the good example, I'm pretty sure there were only 2 typefaces being used. And so if you can pick 1 or 2 typefaces and just limit yourself to those, that's a great way to start and just to make your designs already look more professional. Another really good option within that, if you're not sure how to pair typefaces, if you're like, oh my gosh, what typefaces go together? A really good tip for beginners is pick a font family. So for instance, use like Helvetica Bold for your title, and then Helvetica Medium for everything else. And then maybe for an RSVP, use Helvetica Light Italic, right? They're all Helvetica, but by using the different weights, they're automatically gonna feel cohesive, but you'll still get that hierarchy like we talked about, some emphasis. but you don't have to stress about, oh my gosh, are these typefaces gonna match? Because they were designed to match.
I love that family tip. That's a good one. Last, this feels a little counterintuitive, but you want us to plan for negative space. About 30 seconds. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So negative space is the idea that you don't want to fill everything up. So don't put stuff too close to the edges. Don't fill up every single spot. You can see this bad example.
Yes.
The type is going clear to the ends. The good example, there's margins there. There's some white area.
Yeah.
So resist that urge to like fill everything with clip art and to completely, you know, make your words as big as possible. It's like, no, less is more. It's just like how with putting together an outfit, you wouldn't wear, you know, 5 necklaces and big earrings and whatever. It's like, you'd kind of pick one to be the focus. So leave some negative space.
I actually am surprised at how much it comes down to restraint and just that like less is more mentality. Because we think the opposite. Hayley, this is so good and so helpful. Thanks for teaching us. This is so great. If we still have a few questions, you actually help people by teaching online classes. How do we learn about that?
Yeah, so if you follow Type Affiliated, that's my business, on Instagram, or go to typeaffiliated.com. My main emphasis is hand lettering.
Yes, and it's gorgeous.
Thank you. But I share all types of design tips all the time, whether you're into hand lettering or invitation design or illustration. So much good stuff on there.
Oh, we're so grateful to learn with you. Thanks, sister.